Hey, what's up everyone? Cecil here. Today I'm going to be talking about the painting that I'm doing and the paintings that I'm going to be doing and answer a few questions that people have been asking me a lot on social media. So let's get right into the painting. One of the questions people have been asking me is, why are you painting these creatures or whatever? It's different than my fantasy art, which is what most people are used to seeing. And the main reason why is just trying to get back to having fun. I know that sounds weird and it sounds sort of negative towards art. It's not. It's just that I get very serious about my work. And I've noticed that lately I've been so focused on working that I haven't been allowing myself to have as much fun while I work. And I think that started in school, where I would be so focused on school that at times I wouldn't be having fun. I mean, I'd be having fun if I was learning or if I was goofing off with my buddy Michael or something like that. But there were definitely days where I took the fun out of it and just made it super serious. And I don't like that for myself. I find that when I'm doing that, one, I don't think the art turns out as well. Two, when I'm not having fun, I'm not learning. The more fun I'm having, the more I learn. And so I was fighting that the whole time I was in school. And then in the last couple months, especially, with everything that's been going on and, kind of being locked indoors a lot more, I haven't been having as much fun with the paintings that I've been doing. And even when I'm working on stuff like the game or my graphic novel or stuff like that, I've made it so much about almost like a work project that I'm not allowing myself to have as much fun with it, which is why I started a lot of these, projects. And so painting something like this, it has literally nothing to do with work. All I can do is really have fun, right? Like it doesn't matter if I screw it up. It's not for a client. If I don't like it, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just I can practice things that I want to try to get better at, and I can paint things that I've always wanted to paint. In this case, this is creatures called the Metaluna Mutant. It's from a movie in the 50s called This Island Earth, and I've just always liked this character design. To me, it screams that era of sci-fi, and I freaking love it. So I decided I'm going to paint this, and I started to have fun, and it was great, and I was able to work on things that I want to do. And so I decided to keep going, and then I painted a Skeletor, and then I'm working on a Frankenstein, and I'm probably going to do a half a dozen of these or so, and then I'll probably slow down on them. But I need to get back to having fun, and a couple things that I want to learn. I want to get more expressive with my color. I know I'm already pretty expressive with it, but it's not where I kind of see it in my head. And when I'm doing pieces from reference, which, like you'll see a lot of these pieces, there's a lot of reference involved. I have different pictures of his claws, different pictures, but the thing is that all the problem solving is there already. It's in the picture, all the information. When you're working from imagination, you have to problem solve a lot, or I have to problem solve a lot while I'm doing it, right? While I'm doing the painting, I have to make up a lot, and I have to be more conscious of what I'm doing. When it's in a reference, it's really just look at the reference, decide how you want it to look, because if I put it in a different position or whatever, but more so it's how do I want to interpret the information that's in the reference, and that's a lot easier for me. I have the most experience doing likenesses, portraiture stuff. That's the most experience I have in art. I don't know if a lot of you guys know that, but that's basically what I've done most of my career. So that part's a lot easier for me. I don't really struggle to hit a likeness anymore. I don't know the last time that I blew a likeness, and because of that, I can shift the focus I would normally put on something like that to something I want to learn. In this case, it's being more expressive with colors and making more creative brush strokes, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what to call it. What I do know is that areas that I don't want focus in, usually I'll blur out and remove detail, which is fine. It definitely shifts the focus. Like you'll see on this piece, that arm that has the big hot spot on it, there's not going to be a lot of detail in that until you get down to the claw area, which is what I'm doing right now. And once I do that, your attention goes to that claw. More contrast, more detail. Boom, that's where your eyes go. I do the same thing with the face, and then I remove detail from the body. You get the point. I like that. It's good. I like drawing your attention where I want to tell the story that I want to tell, but I think there are better ways to do it. I know there's better ways to do it. And so I want to be able to do that, but also have interesting brush marks in those areas instead of just blurring it out and removing detail. So I've been looking at a lot of guys lately, like Gregory Manchess, and seeing like, how does he accomplish it? And I don't want to paint like him or even try to, but just trying to see how he interpreted areas where he didn't want your focus and so on and so on. And then trying to figure out, how can I do that with brushes, instead of just blurring and removing detail, to sort of create a look that I like as far as visual interest goes. That's mainly the two things that I'm going to practice with all these. And you'll see it, like, even from this piece to the piece I did after this, which is the Skeletor, there's already a huge jump for me as far as like, I like my brush handling a little bit more. I feel like I'm more confident in my value organization while using the crazy colors, and that's what I want out of it. And so that's why I'm doing these pieces versus what I was doing, a return to fun and to shift my focus on the things I want to learn. And the easiest way for me to do that is to paint something that's a little bit easier. Another thing that a lot of people have been asking me is doing this one without an underdrawing. I think that just comes down to mileage, right? Like, at first, when you get a decent handling of art, you still will do a pretty extensive underdrawing for paintings and stuff, whether it's off of one of your drawings. Like when I'm doing the cards, I'll draw them out fully and then transfer that to the board. That's one thing. But I think too, you reach a point where I knew that like I was capable of doing a piece without an underdrawing if I wanted to. But if I were to sit down and do it, I would lack the confidence, right? And then I'd be like, oh, it'd just be easier if I had the underdrawing. And because I feel pretty confident in my ability to hit a likeness, I figured this was a good time to try it, and do that. And, I found it to be a lot easier and a lot faster process. That's not always the case. Like I didn't do an underdrawing for the Skeletor, and same thing. It was a much faster painting and I liked the results. But then when I got to the Frankenstein and it's Boris Karloff's face, I wanted to make sure that it was dead on. So I did an underdrawing for that. So for me, it's going to be, or it is basically, what's the easiest solution to the problem? What's going to allow me to do the art with the least amount of complications and the least amount of time invested, because I'm always conscious about time, which is what I'm going to get to next. So if it's something like this or the Skeletor or something that's a little bit, I don't know, it doesn't have to be 100% accurate for it to look 100% accurate, then I probably won't do an underdrawing. If it's something that's, if I feel it's not dead on, then I'm not going to be happy with it. Then I'll do the underdrawing. Otherwise, I don't really care. One of the other questions a lot of people have been asking, and this has been a lot lately, has been about speed. Either how do I get faster, or how long did something take, and then how did I do it in that amount of time? And again, man, it's mileage. Everybody starts out slow. Everybody makes a ton of mistakes. Everybody questions every mark that they make. Everybody lacks the confidence in their mark making, and all of that stuff leads to you being slower. A lot of people think that if you do something fast, that it just means you're moving fast, and that is 100% not the case, man. There are dudes that smoke me, like at school, like Jeff and Eric, man, those guys are so fast, but when you watch them draw, their hands aren't flying a million miles an hour. You know what I mean? The thing is there's a difference between making marks and making correct marks, or accurate marks. Maybe not correct, but accurate. And when you can make accurate marks, you save a ton of time. And the more mileage you get, the more you're going to make correct marks, right? So in the beginning, you haven't put in as much time into studying anatomy and form and structure, et cetera, et cetera, and your mark making, sometimes you're going to have to search for it. You're going to have to fish for the right line or make a mark and be like, nah, that's not what I want. Erase it. That stuff adds time. That's what slows you down. If you want to get faster, you just got to put in the mileage, and it can't just be drawing and painting. It's got to be with intent, right? Like, you have to go into it going, I want to learn this. And so you purposely study that, whether it's anatomy or shape design or whatever. You can't just go in willy-nilly. That will improve you, but it's not going to improve you anywhere near as fast as sitting there and drawing with intent. This is what I'm going to study. And you have to be willing to let other things go, because it is hard to focus on a ton of different things, especially when you're a little younger in your career. So if you're going like, I'm going to focus on edge work today, well, then you have to be willing to accept that your proportions might be off, or your anatomy may not be 100%, and really focus on your edges. And then when you are studying anatomy, then accept the fact that maybe your edge work isn't going to be as good, but you really went in and you focused on your anatomy, whatever. I find that that's an easier way to learn than trying to do it all at once. It's like when you're studying anatomy, you don't go in and practice the whole body every time. You sit there and you go, oh, I'm gonna study arms, I'm gonna study back. I break it down like going to the gym, right? Like, today's back day, today's chest day, or maybe it's torso or arms or legs or whatever, and learn that way, and you will get faster. That being said, I do think there are some things that helped me get faster. One of them was giving myself a time limit. When you sit down to do something and you don't feel the constraints of time or a deadline, you will, I think, almost always go slower, right? So if you really want to focus on getting faster, give yourself a certain amount of time. I'm giving myself this many hours to do this piece, and you will find yourself going faster. You will also find yourself not being as particular, right? Because you're under time, and it becomes a matter of getting it as good as you can get it in that time frame to get it out the door. And that's sort of my mentality that I've had to do with illustration work, because I can't just sit there and redo stuff over and over and over. I'll never hit a deadline. Your time's up, it's done, it's out the door. And when you start giving yourself that kind of time limit, then you'll start to find yourself naturally getting faster. The other thing is, pay attention to where you're spending your time. A lot of people will sit down to do some work, and then they'll pick up their phone and get on Instagram and waste 5-10 minutes there. Well, if you do that 4 or 5 times in your work, then you're going to really slow yourself down. It's going to add a huge chunk of time, even looking for more reference. Like, when you sit down to do your piece, try to have all your reference there and all your reference organized, so that you don't have to stop your workflow to go get on Google and try to find some reference or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, the main thing that's going to make you faster is confidence. And confidence, to me, comes from knowledge and mileage. So the more you learn, the longer you do it, the better you're going to get. Don't look at somebody who's been doing it for 20 years and be like, man, I'm nowhere near as fast as that guy, I suck. Well, he wasn't that fast, for a very long time. It took him 20 years to get there. And that's the thing you have to remind yourself, man. It's a long journey, but you're always going to make improvements. Don't look back to a week ago and be like, I haven't made any improvements. Look back a year and see how many improvements you've made. Look back 2 years, look back 3 years, and you'll start to see, oh man, I am getting better. And that stuff compiles, man. In 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, you're going to be a completely different artist, and you're going to look back and be like, well, I used to stress over this and I used to stress over that, and now that stuff isn't even hard anymore. So hopefully you enjoyed watching me do this painting. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. See you next time.